Great, great to see you. So today I'm going to go into a place of the language of the heart and the language of the mind. It's totally different. So when you are very much in the place of knowledge, you tend to measure things, categorize things, to understand things. You need to divide things to perceive, understand. So when we come into that place of the mind, when we name things so that we can talk to others about a known perception, in that naming, that quality actually creates distance between the observer and the observed. And we use space called Atma. And in that distance, we go into the separation of illusion of this is who I am and this is what they are. So today, it's trying to find the synchronicity of the heart. Heart always, when you're coming from the heart, because it will always inquire from the place of what is good for us. It doesn't need a following, it just need a realization, and it brings the mind to follow it when you more elevate in the space of the journey. And sometimes this comes from understanding things, but this always comes through the life itself when it is you allow it to experience you, and very gently you release the shadows of yourself that you have carried. So no need to define things, it just to understand things. You just have to sometimes let go of the veil of the mind. So saying that, I will now move the camera towards Darren and we'll do a very gentle class as we very gently close our eyes for a moment and just take a deep breath in. We are coming into the language that is not spoken by words, but the vibration. So that can be the breath, that can be the movement, that can be keeping the unity. So shoulders roll back, open up the chest, breathe out and release that breath. So we are bringing the body, the heart, the breath. Now shrug the shoulders up and tilt the head back and massage the back of the skull very gently. The body is the memory of every experience you have lived, and beneath every wound there is stillness. And we are here not to fix but to listen and allow the listening itself to become the medicine. Now very gently take a deep breath out and into the chest and collapse the spine very gently, grounding into the body, remembering the safety. Now we both the opening intention, and now feel the earth beneath you in that collapse of the spine. Now take a deep breath in, push the belly into the front, tongue roll up onto the upper palate. Breath out and just come into a stable spine and just gently, the first healer, the earth beneath you. Now inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. With each breath, feel your weight softening into the ground. And not the words, I want you to feel this, I'm safe in this ground, in this body. Very gently allow the breath to come, allow the breath to go. And in that witnessing, you're welcoming in this moment. You can represent a thought into that space. Imagine the roots growing from your tailbone to the legs and feet into the earth. Remember the earth, because you're parking a body in this earth. Earth is your first healer. Now very gently observe when you have this space of this imagination, the mind begins to slow. Now in the same moment, you could see the heart begins to open. That was separated, that was needed to be protected, that was needed to be, but the mind has this idea about the heart, but no idea. Now take a deep breath in and breath out, twist the spine to the right. Now very gently see those scapulas are not tightening, the ribcage in the back, sockets of the hips are opening. Now take a deep breath in and very gently coming back into the center. Change the leg formation and twist the spine to the other side on the out breath. Exhale light and bring that bridge of compassion, the mind and the heart now. Exhale light into the heart. And in that space, just say, may my thoughts follow the wisdom of my heart. Back into the center. Arms raised onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. How your shoulders drop as two centers begin to harmonize now. Breath out, spread the wings and collapse the spine into the cat. Breathing in, arms raised onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up, gentle arch to the back. Almost like a cow, but there's a gentle arch. Breath out, spread the wings, collapse into the cat. Now, observe for a moment how the shoulders drop as the two centers begin to harmonize. Now, listening to the body language where the trauma lives. Because body remembers, it stores what mind could not process. So body has a way to push it out, this trauma, but the mind stops it because mind wants to revisit the trauma. So totally understand that. The more you talk, more you live in the trauma. Now very gently take a deep breath in, and we are coming onto the head and the neck, because the head and the neck is overthinking and hypervigilance. Now, clench and unclench the jaw, let the tongue rest softly. Take a deep breath in and exhale with a gentle sigh. I don't need to hold it all in my mind. I don't need to hold all in my mind. Because what mind cannot process is held by the body. Now tilt the head to side to release the neck. Reset the neck. Whether you want to take a stretch back into the center. Shoulders relax. Chest open. Observe very gently. Now take a deep breath in. This is where we are coming into the shoulder and the upper back. And why the shoulders and the upper back is important, the weight of the responsibility. Now take a deep breath in, inhale deeply into the shoulder and exhale light down to the spine. And it is safe to put down what is not mine to carry. This is with what is not mine to carry is the mind interactions about the world, about the events. Now take a deep breath in and shrug the shoulders up Breath out, release, exhale. And then when you exhale, light down the spine. It is safe to put down what is the story in the mind. Now we are very gently coming into the space of the chest and the heart, where that grief and the love and the unreceived affection that the mind constantly talk about. Now take a deep breath in and very gently bring that left foot into the back, opening up that right hip. Now, if this is a greater balance pose for you, place both hands over the chest in this preparation for the pigeon pose. Inhale through the chest and exhale through the back of the heart. And in this place, you're coming into the realization that I'm ready to love and I'm ready to be loved again. I'm ready to love, but I'm ready also to love again. So love again what? The parts that are separated. Now take a deep breath in, breath out, very gently drop the palm, walk the elbows, release any tension, head down, neck down. Take a posture that is allowing you to do in that same similar space. Now take a deep breath in and coming back. Shoulders relax and chest open. Now very gently place your one hand over the navel and breathe deep into the belly and feel that rise and fall like waves. This is solar plexus are very important in the space of the belly. This is what controls you. This is what fear holds. This is also that self-worth. If you don't have self-worth, you will constantly verbalize that you need self-worth. You will constantly tell that you need to be safe. So it is very important when you're working in the solar plexus, breathe deep into the belly and feel it rise and fall like a wave. And then your heart is trusting the rhythm of my life. I release the need to control anything. I release the need to control anything. Now very gently we coming into palms onto the floor and very gently coming into a plank, stronger on the pelvic floor. Now the knees wide apart and stretch the spine. Now the hips and the pelvis is very important. Hips kind of give a trouble when there's suppressed emotions, wounding happening on the sexual areas. And it is always also survival and fear. So now very gently coming into the knees and give a good rotation to the hips. Move the hips slowly in a circular motion. And this can be right and onto the left. And very gently, I release all that is not love. I reclaim the innocence of my body. Breath out, palms onto the floor, relax and stretch the spine. Now very gently, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. Take a deep breath in, shoulders roll back, coming into an up face, coming into a down face. Head down, neck down, totally relaxed. Observe the legs, observe the feet. When these are stuck, there is fear of moving forward. Now take a deep breath in and bring that left foot into the front, into the pigeon pose. Shoulders roll back, opening up the space of the chest. Lift up the space of the heart. So we are coming into the pigeon pose. So as I go on onto the chest and the heart, this is where the grief and love and unreceived affection. Place both hands over the chest and inhale through that heart. Exhale through that back of the heart. I'm ready to love and love again. Now, this is not a separation. Comes from the space of the heart as a unity. This is not the story that you're bringing the love back again. So don't get caught up in that. This is not the story that where you have left, you have not self-love. This is not that. It's a different understanding. Now very gently drop the elbows, walk those palms into the front. Palms facing up. Just observe how the fingers are holding the energy. It does not matter how or what the energy doing. Energy has its own way of getting out of the system, getting into the system. Take a couple of deep breaths, very gently palms onto the floor, very gently coming back. This time you're working on the solar plexus and the belly again, where the control of fear and the self-worth. Place one hand over the navel, where the solar plexus, and breathe deep into the belly and say, feeling it rise and let it fall like a wave, like a lava lamp. I trust the rhythm of my life. I release the need to control or control by anything. You are meant to give back the body that you have control. You have control, not anyone else. So don't put the blame on anything, just that you're understanding. And very gently will come into a plank now. Now this plank, you're dropping the knees and staying in the pose of the four-legged cat. Breathing in, drop the belly, opening up. Gentle Ujjayi Pranayama. No forcing of the breath. Breathe out into the space of the cat. Breathing in because you want me to give that gentle breath into the neural parts of the mind. Breathe out. Great. Breathing in very gently. Breath out. And very gently release. Now, give a good rotation to the hips, wider. And in that rotation, if you want to release the breath a bit more louder or inhale the breath a bit more deeper, that's up to you. This is all the suppressed emotions, woundings, survivals, fears. I'm not going to go to the story because the mind is very cunning. It will weave itself back. So move the hip slowly in a circular motion, and I release all that is not love. I release all that is in conflict. And you reclaim the innocence of this space of the body, what you call a body, without a control. Now give a good rotation to the other side and stretch the spine into the back. And take a moment. You have gone through a lot now, so take a moment. Arms facing up. Now very gently wake up the spine, one vertebra at a time. Very gently, one vertebra at a time, like a building up a spine very gently from the feet to the crown. Inhale, light up through the soles, up to the crown. Trust that your body knows how to heal when it feels safe, when it feels seen by you and loved by you. Now, this should not be forced. If you force this to see by the others, loved by the others, you have lost it again. And now very gently stretch the legs into the front. This time I want you to rub your thighs, rub your knees, rub your calves gently or shake it. And even if you want to stamp the feet softly on the ground, very gently, even bending the knees, and just coming to that place, I'm supported with each step I take is a blessing with the unity. Now, very gently, knees to the chest and hold the knees. Breathing in, arms raise onto the ground, feet stretch. Breathe out, knees to the chest. Breathing in, breathe out. Breathing in, breathe out, knees to the chest. Now, sole of the feet together, knees wide apart, butterflies, and release those hips. Release those hips. Release those hips. Release those. Release. Now, very gently lying down on the mat and bring the knees to the chest and hold on and keep that spine very gently flat, shoulder flat, butt space. Now, very gently rotating the knees on a circular motion. This rotation, you are spreading the kidneys, you are spreading everything back onto the earth and feel that support of the earth, that something got your back onto the other side, onto the other side. Come back into the center. Bring the left knee onto the chest. Hold on to that knee, left knee, and very gently switch the left leg up and holding onto the back of the thigh or the back of the knee or back of the calves. Get that right leg stretch onto the floor. Feel that space. Now, very gently, once you stretch that knee to the chest, bring the knee to the chest and release. Now, you can do variation what Dasa is doing, not exactly. So do your variations if you need to. Right knee to the chest. Hold on to the right calf or right knee and stretch up. Now, if you want to get the knee to the chest and drop, that's fine. But this posture is not for that. This posture is to release the back of the thigh and the hamstrings and the knees. But after that, you can bring the knee to the chest and drop onto the side. Back into the center. Both knees to the chest. Now very gently lock onto the toes, very gently. Feet just stretch, slightly bend knees and knees under the armpit. And what you're trying to do is creating the posture to be flattened on the earth rather than getting the feet wide apart. So your hips are stamping onto the floor, your shoulders are stamping onto the floor, your spine is equally spread onto the floor, your scapula and your back of the hips are opening up into the floor. That's the idea of it. So just observe because these are psychosomatic classes, so very gently work on the variations. Very gently bring the knees to the chest, complete, breathe out. Now very gently rock the spine, very gently. Rock the spine and coming into a seating posture. Shoulders relax. On the chest open. Now very gently twist the spine to the right on the out breath. Back into the center. On to the other side by changing the legs. Now back into the center. Relax. We are going to do a very gentle meditation here. So if you need to cover yourself with a blanket, or you need to create a little bit of height on the tailbone and let the knees drop. So the class started with the language of the mind and the language of the heart. Once you're settling, I will just explain. The mind was born to measure, categorize, divide what is perceived in order to understand. We name things so they can be known. And in the naming, we quietly create that distance, he, she, they. So that becomes between the observer and observed, between the self and the others. Mind says, I'm here and the life is out there. That's how the mind sees life. Life need to be conquered. Life need to be getting. Life need to be have it. It's a challenge for the mind. So it tries on the definition. Yet the words often leave us longing for what definitions can never touch. So the meditation is, there's no need to define. It recognizes, it feels through the illusions of the distance and touches what has never been a path. So that's the meditation. Now close your eyes for a moment and imagine the mind as a lake. Now this is where the mind, when it's rippling, its thoughts and reflections and memories, it cannot see what is in it. So if anyone who is going through this class in the present or in the future, if you're struggling with that, the polarity of it, agitation of it, just observe that rippling thoughts, reflections, and memories without saying nothing. Now, when you come into this level and you're observing the rippling effect, that each wave is a word, a belief, it's a tiny story about who you think you are, who you think you need to be. Now, with a single breath, let those ripples begin to settle. If any time if this has happened to you or happening to you, just observe the ripples to settle. I want you to first time see your mind without the ownership. Feel how the silence begin to mirror the sky in the mind's lake. Now, every now and then you can take a gentle breath, but you are still observed. As this stillness grows, I want to bring your awareness to the center of your chest. That radiant point where pulse of the existence beat as you. Remember, mind is an agitation, it doesn't beat. But where you know that your existence is when you start hearing the pulsation of the heart. It is there that the heart speaks. It has never not been a sentence. The moment sentence comes, you have lost the radiance of it. But in the currents of the warmth, you first begin to have the compassion to your story. You first start belonging. You first start feeling that. For the first time, you're listening. Now, beneath, I'm not going to go to the stories. Let's say that beneath the hum of your thought, can you sense the language of your life itself? And it only says, in words, you are not apart from the wind that moves through the trees. You are not separate from the light that dances on the wall. You are the awareness through which all of this becomes known. Now I want you to breathe with that awareness. Feel your gentle inhalation as the whole universe, because you are that, not this character, not this personality. Once your body and the mind is taken by the whole universe, it is no longer the character. Now, if you have stopped, let it enter, bring you. Feel your exhalation as your love returning to the universe, but not out of a separation. Doesn't matter the size. Now, I want you to go into the place where there is no sides or outside, only the flow of the continuous breath in this space. All stories appears to disappear. Let the mind relaxes and learn to serve the heart. Now, it's not that you're a bridge. Now your thought becomes a bridge rather than a barrier. Perception has become a prayer of silence. You're no longer the thinker trying to reach peace. You are the peace that allows thoughts to arise and dissolve without creating stories out of it. The first time you're feeling the language of the heart is unity, a vibration that knows no frustrations, a silence that speaks much more louder to every atom in the universe. Stay here. Stay here in this living silence where everything belongs and nothing is missing. No need to achieve, no need to run for it. Now let's go into much more vastness, into a deeper explanation of your integration into this meditation. Languages of the mind is not wrong, it's simply incomplete. It operates through the polarity, and people get bipolarity from the operation of that incompleteness. It's constantly comparing light and dark, good and bad, male and female, before and after. So see if that shift has happened to you into the heart, from the mind, or if you have moved from the heart to the mind or mind to the heart, doesn't matter. Mind, its purpose is survival and structure. Yet when the mind rules alone, it imprisons the soul in a world of opposite. And your life becomes a series of negotiations rather than a song or a song of connection. Coming to the space of the heart, language of the heart is the deep intelligence of existence. Now let it communicate through coherence, a rhythmic harmony between emotions, breath, and consciousness. Just observe this trinity: emotion, breath, consciousness. Consciousness, breath, emotion. Now you're coming into the align with this frequency. Now all that nervous system begins to heal in this trinity. Now let the body rhythm synchronizes with the earth rhythm. You no longer perceive yourself as an isolated individual, but as the expression of one's vastness. In the meantime, when you're alive, you're a breathing organism. Isn't that great to be alive? In psychosomatic healing, the shift is profound. Now, today, I want you to do a little test for yourself. Observe when you speak from the mind, your body often tightens. You touch the head because you feel like the other person doesn't understand you. Breathe. You breathe shorter, and your energy contracts. If energy contracts so hard, you need to break out of it. When you speak from the heart, observe today. The body expands. Shoulders soften. Breath becomes deeper. Now distance from all my teachings and observe the difference between the contraction and the communion. So observe your thoughts of contractions, thoughts of communion. Observe for a while. In the alignment from the heart to the mind. Living in the heart does not mean abandoning thought, especially if people who create things from thoughts. It's not abandoning thoughts. It means allowing the thought to be infused with kindness, love. So the mind becomes the servant of the heart's wisdom, a translator of divine understanding into human experience. So use these synchronicities and add them into your nutrients of your life. When you next feel a conflict, if I'm not there for you to text, pause, feel your heartbeat and ask, what would the unity say right now? Not what the mind says. You will notice that the heart never argues. It simply knows. It answers not with words, but with presence. The kind of silence that restores balance, where the mind and heart becomes one instrument of Turiya, Satya. Arms raised onto the crown when you come into this realization. It's about time. Arms onto the Namaskar position. And chanting 3 Oms as the victory of the joy of this truth resonating through every atom of this self and the self of the universe. Breathing in. Gently raise that arms, creating that vibration in the whole cosmic force. Putting in the space of the crown, if it was governed by the mind, now it's governed by the alignment of the space of the heart. Third eye has that clarity without any calcification. Throat has the voice of unity and it will never fight to push anything hard that does not need any protection. It's need to be open. Solar plexus, navel, arms gently raised back to the crown, cleansing the vibration of your home, vibration of your creation, and its authenticity that you will always create things out of the space of that. Palms under the Namaskar position and bowing down into the space of that realization. Namaste. I'll have a quick chat. Is there good taste of juice? So we can't speak to all of them in one second. So you can't talk to all of them in one second. Yeah, okay. Right. Space conservative. We have to put out automatically. We come back there. Great. Now you bring them. Oh, is that Sage? Hello, Sage. So it's only you, me, Daza, and Trinity. Doesn't you want to come here? So you can see. So it's all good. You all are in speakers. So we got a little chat because it's only three of us. And Daza here. And Sage are four of us. And Lisa Speck. So how have you guys been?
Been good, Channa. Good.
Very good. How is the practice went today for you guys?
It was exactly what I needed today. I needed to really quieten my mind.
Yes, it can go into that place of that logic, separation. I need to protect myself. But what happens is when the mind becomes very stronger, even on a spiritual level, it actually shuts the frequency of the heart. And you struggle more because you have gone from the communion to the reactive space. And whether we are working with health, whether we are working with finance, whether we are working with a relationship, whether we are working with the future and the past, it loses the coherence of the heart because the heart doesn't have logic. But if you really think, without the heart, mind cannot survive. But when mind survives too much, it depletes the energy of the heart. And that's what we always say, that I need to quieten down, because here you got a lot of information at the moment, and if you don't know how to digest it, it's like anything, it becomes inflammation, isn't it? When the mind has that inflammation, it's very hard. And the belly has that inflammation, that what we eat is gonna be digestible. Because everything in the world at the moment, there's nothing wrong with the world, because that's not what I'm saying. It's very teasing to believe that because it's right with the right words, even if it has used the spiritual context. Like if you go to a supermarket, it says very healthy, no sugar, this. But when you buy it, you find it that anything says that. You have to be very careful if someone is saying that, because that's, you don't have to say if it is the truth. You have to say all of that when it is not true. And sometimes when our mind talks, when we are very tired, it does not mean that everything it says is true, because it's survival. It needs to have the vocabulary and the separation. And then you kind of go into the conflict and you suddenly find that I want to wake up from this, I want to be that. And sometimes a great walk, a great run, reset that. And sometimes, like anything, like a computer need a reset, fridge need a reset, and a defrost every now and then. So our systems also need that. That's why the yoga is so important. Not as the yoga as what is doing in the world. Yoga is totally different to what actually we have learned. Um, and we need to be in that space. So what did, Liz, you got overwhelmed with it, if you want to share it?
I think that this week I had a very stressful week, and I think that I was just too much in my mind. And I think today really helped me get back into my body and feel with my other senses rather than letting my thoughts run away. So I think it was really good to come back and be still and be present. And I was really looking forward to today for exactly that reason, that I sort of felt that sitting with all of you and quietening my mind would be really helpful, and it has really helped.
Amazing, because myself and that's I felt the same today. We need to come into that space, and space only chooses four of us, because normally this class have few people, but it was today Liz and Maria, myself, and Dessa. And I'm glad that it helped. And how did it go for you, Maria?
For me, it's an interesting time. I've spent 6 months not really taking care of my body because I've been working and studying and looking for another job. So this week has been the end of that, and unraveling what is happening in my body is very difficult. So I'm very tight, but yeah, like Liz, just focusing on being present and moving the body, stretching the body, and working through the meditation as well. So it was nice today that it was it was that what I needed to, as you say, reset is what I'm looking for.
Reset is very important. I felt that because I suddenly felt my ankles were getting tighter, even when I mean, I understand the implication of my medication, and but it was very hard to walk this morning more than any other days. It felt very heavy, and it was almost like someone has put shackles, and then suddenly, the pain of the shackle, it had that on the back of the ankle. And I know that statin can do that, drugs for cholesterol and for heart problems. But so I'm just coming into that awareness, and very gently letting go, because of finding a place to also release those thoughts and emotions, not necessary to numb the pain by a medication or taking a Panadol. Um, but there was a time period I have to take a lot of Panadols, and as I know that we both have to, because of the work what we do and amount of physical work we do, so that we can do more without having that pain. And we are slowly coming into that self-love, and but not as a separation, but coming to give the same care that we give to others to ourselves. And I'm sure Dasa will have something if he wants to share how he felt the class, or
Yeah, I think it was
okay.
down with what the shift that we're all going through, and it's not just us as a small group, it's collective. Everything we go through, the collective do go through, and as we know, not just the town hall is a representation, I think, in a world that is divided very specially. And as we begin to open center and prepare, we've been preparing ourselves quite some time in the spiritual, but also on the physical, out serving the community, actually being leaders of community from within. And as Channa said, it's beautiful because we're coming to an alignment, and today's class is a representation of all the work we've been doing together and collectively through all of you shared experiences, and we feel both of you today, but all of you always. I've always been the one that sat at the back and observed a lot, but I always knew who you all were. I knew collectively who everyone was. And as I begin to share and also share my experiences, and we start to share this class out to the masses, there's going to be a large awakening happening. And Channa and myself are not separate, and we've been leaders of this and knowing what's to come in the world. And you're blessed to be here today, and you're sacredly meant to be the two people sitting here. And I've always known who you all are in classes. And this is the first time I've even sat in one of this class and spoke. But I'm going to share this class, and I've already got the vision of how we can do it. And you're a part of Uniting Awareness, you always have been. I've always known who Channa is. He's always known who I am. You know, it's a special union, very sacred union. And we've returned to Earth for this time. And I have not spoken, you know, I've been a student, and I've been able to be the maintenance and seeing what the world needs through the sacred masculine. And as I built myself and as I became the angel for myself and took care of the nurturing that I needed and self-love, I began to harness and insert and create social media platforms to be ready for this technology to come and also be one with the sacred teachings of Channa, which is always taught. And I've begun to insert the code. So all our classes are going to activate, and they're also going to share to the masses. And I've been waiting to share this. I've been a very humble student waiting for many years over on that map. And now's the time to unite and